Calling all Boricuas, Broquis, and Puerto Ricanos. Hey, listen up. For all my fellow proud Latinx peoples, especially Puerto Ricans, there's a little lesson you need to know. We all know about feminism, right? Well, if you don't, look it up. Feminism, from what most of us know, is the liberation and equal rights of American women. But have you ever thought about Puerto Rican women? I mean, they do have rights, don't they? I mean, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. Why haven't we looked at it? I think there's something we should dive into within here. The history of women's position in Puerto Rican society is one that dates back to the Spanish conquest and takeover the island. Natives of Puerto Rico and the Taino Native Americans allow women and men to be seen as equal, including female participation in wars. However, once the Spaniards came, women became property, as did the land, and sources of the reproduction of the Spanish blood, leading to the women's role as baby makers, caretakers, and homemakers. Therefore, women in Puerto Rico were not allowed or involved in politics and education. As women continued to care for their children as the men went out to work, the desire for women to be educated increased. The need to teach their children basic skills became their argument and focus for the uprising feminist movement of the early 20th century. This idea was gradually accepted by government officials, and women were soon seen working in the growing tobacco industry. This, however, was still not the equality women yearned for. It wasn't until 1907 when the first Puerto Rican suffragist, Luisa Capetillo, published Ensayos Libertarios, which outlined women's demand for improvement of conditions in workforce, voting rights, and especially their professions. Capetillo was born in Abrecibo, Puerto Rico in 1879 to liberal parents Luis Capetillo and Luisa Margarita. She was first exposed to labor unions when she worked in the American Tobacco Company in 1898. It was this exposure that led her to become the leader of the American Federation of Labor, where she traveled around Puerto Rico educating and organizing women for upcoming strikes and protests. Fed up with not only the conditions of women, but the working opportunities given to women, Capetillo even goes as far to address the medical field directly. Whoa, brave, isn't she? I mean, wow. In her 1910 letter to Dr. Paul Vine, she utilizes her political knowledge and participation in various gender and workers' rights movements to persuade doctors in the medical field to include women within the professions. She lists women in other professions, which provides women's capability and breaks the notion that science can be used to justify the inferiority of women if they enter the medical field. She states that women are quite capable of doing certain jobs that they had previously been denied. The indication that women have other professions but are not allowed in science means that there is a vast knowledge within the realm of science that poses a threat to society if women enter. At this time, science is used as a justification for the treatment of minorities, and if feminists are about equality, the use of science will disappear. Capetillo also foreshadows a possible rebellion of women if not given such rights, which then becomes a political issue of protest and marches, making her letter a command and a warning. She states that when made prisoner, she, or women, will kill her man companion. Her letter is able to spark the attention of the government because in 1919, Law 45 was enacted, which established a minimum salary for women in the workforce. This then related to other aspects of social equality, for this initiated the fight for better working conditions for men and women. Capetillo was able to ignite the fight for women's rights in Puerto Rico and draw attention to the position of women in the country, thus leading to the overall improvement of the social life on the island. Her and other feminists are able to serve as vehicles for women to fight for justice. In later years, in the mid-1960s, we were able to see that Capetillo's efforts assisted in the influx of jobs given to women. Her and other feminists of the time serve as vehicles for other women to fight for justice in the public eye, because in 1935, women of Puerto Rico gained the right to vote, and more women start popping up in government. This led to Zayeda Hernandez Torres, the first female House of Representatives Speaker in 1993, and Cia Cardon, the first female governor in 2000. Not only does Luisa Capetillo serve as a catalyst for the start of the feminist movement of Puerto Rican women of her time, but her efforts have transcended to the current position of women today.